So the story then comes from us from a Variety. Headline reads, Ezra Miller pleads not guilty to burglary charges in Vermont. Faces up to 26 years in prison. Now, we'll get into whether or not he's actually going to serve those 26 years if convicted. But first, let's see what they say here. The Flash star Ezra Miller pleaded not guilty to burglary charges in Vermont in a court Monday hearing. Miller, who's charged with burglary into an occupied home and petty larceny, faces up to 26 years in prison if convicted of both charges. Miller appeared in Bennington Superior Court virtually with his lawyer. The actor is accused of breaking into a residence in Stamford, Vermont on May 1st. After investigating at the time, Vermont State Police had discovered several missing bottles of alcohol from the property while the homeowners were not present. After collecting statements and reviewing surveillance footage, police charged Miller with felony burglary. So yeah, that about sums it up. He broke into a private residence with no one there. He stole their booze, and he left again.
I'm surprised he got charged with felony burglary.
Yeah, but there's more. Let's continue with the story here.
Kind of surprising.
The petty larceny charge states that the stolen items were less than $900 in total value. The felony burglary charge has a maximum of 25 years in prison and a $1,000 maximum fine. The larceny charge is a maximum of 1 year and has a similar $1,000 fine. Miller also agreed to not have any contact with the homeowner or return to their residence. And yeah, so this is what he pled not guilty to. And if this moves forward, he then risks worst case scenario, theoretically, a total of 26 years in prison plus a $2,000 fine, which seems kind of redundant next to 26 years in prison. So, what do you think is the chance that first this moves forward and then he's found guilty and then he is sentenced to a maximum of 26 years in prison? Script Doctor, let's hear from you first on this one.
I'd be shocked. I mean, I would not be surprised if later this week the lawyer says as a plea deal offer, how about $26,000 and 2 years in prison? Because they're going to do everything they can to keep him out. And because of his celebrity status, I don't see him. I can easily see Vermont rolling over on that and giving him the bare minimum of sentences if convicted. I do know that Warner Brothers has pretty much severed their support of him publicly in this part. He's there as the Flash only, and just to save them money. But I don't think they're spending any money with regards to his publicist or his legal fees or anything of that nature. I'm pretty sure they've completely severed all those ties. So he is ostensibly on his own at this point.
Well, but surely they would want him to not be in jail when the movie opens.
That is true, but I don't see Warner Brothers wanting to spend that type of money because that could have huge blowback, whether he's convicted or not. Especially within Hollywood, that's just the weirdest. It's just the weirdest position to put a studio in, because let's say he gets convicted, then you've got people who finally decide to turn on Ezra Miller and say, well, Warner Brothers spent X amount of dollars trying to support him and do all this stuff. They're a bad company. This is the ammunition we need to go after Zaslav because he's supporting a criminal. I can see those arguments being made. If he's not guilty, I can still see the narrative of his celebrity status bought his freedom, and it was funded by Warner Brothers. And there's no win situation for Warner Brothers at this point. I mean, we are, I guess, a couple weeks overdue for an Ezra news story. So this and the timing of this is quite interesting because it is 5 days before the DC's latest big tentpole film is set to debut. So yeah, I think there's probably a lot of people at Warner Brothers who saw this coming and are like, son of son of a gun. What are we going to do now? Does the article state when this goes beyond arraignment and into trial?
Let's see here. I have to flick through this here. The Vermont charges were just a couple of the controversies, legal issues, yada, yada, yada. No one cares. He pled no contest to the assault charge and paid a $500 fine and 30 in court costs. Harassment, this was something else in Berlin. Having recently, and then I don't think they say.
So yeah, there's the other part. I don't think we're going to get any sort of move or response from Warner Brothers until a court date is set. And if that court
here
date
it is. Here it is.
Oh, yeah?
Sorry. Miller appeared in Bennington Superior Court virtually with his lawyer. The actor is accused of breaking. Oh no. So that was
that's for the arraignment part. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, there's no date.
So yeah, I think when a date is announced, that's when Warner Brothers will probably make a far more definitive statement. Because if the date is announced anywhere near the current release date of The Flash, that's going to be bad for Warner Brothers. And if it's done after it, then Warner Brothers isn't going to care. And if it's done before it, Warner Brothers might end up moving The Flash again, just to give it some more distance. So if it's say done in February or March of this coming year, I predict that The Flash will be pushed back a few more months.
According to what Six just sent me here in the background, his next hearing is set for January 13th, 2023.
Ooh.
Even when she's not here, Six is still here and correcting us all, keeping us all in check.
But yeah, my response to that, first of all, I've heard a few updates on the Ezra Miller situation. I'm sure Andre wants me to save most of it for a future video. But let's just say, from what I had heard, script is kind of right on Warner Brothers somewhat washing their hands of him. They're not going to do it publicly, obviously, and he's going to be in this movie, but he kind of fucked the goose when they offered him help and he kind of swatted the hand away. And from what I kind of heard was like, yeah, his people got involved with, and Warner's like, yeah, we got to get something done here. So they did meet up with him or whatever after that. And they've got that part worked out. But as far as this case goes, there's going to be a plea deal before January. I see this as his lawyer having him plead not guilty so they can get a plea deal. He's not going to get any time in prison whatsoever, even if he does get convicted of anything.
I would be shocked if that were the case. Yeah.
Exactly. Like this whole it just makes good headlines.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he even got charged with felony burglary to begin with. Because he didn't actually physically assault anybody. He took mostly alcohol. He didn't take anything of great monetary value.
Alcohol in Vermont is pretty monetary.
Other than the booze, which, again, my point is it's not something that has a lot of resale value.
Yeah, well, basically, it was the damage he did upon breaking and entering, and then he took the booze.
Right.
Which kind of like makes the breaking and entering just kind of like an insult in a way. Like I want wine, so I'm going to break your house down. That's just, yeah. But I agree with you guys. I don't think that he's going to see 1 day in jail. Like Script, when you suggested, how about we pay $2,600 and 2 years in jail? I was like, I don't think they're going to volunteer for 2 years in jail. They're going to say like, hey, how about we pay $4,000 and we make this whole thing go away? And then Vermont is going to like roll over. That's kind of like what I'm thinking here. If he sees even 1 day in jail, I'll be surprised.
Well, the fact that this is in Vermont,
I'll be positively shocked. But if he does, that's going to be just like when they caught Capone on tax evasion.
I was just going to say, the fact that this is Vermont, his lawyer might be playing the long game. He might be figuring that this is going to be an easy win. They're going to take down the charges or something like that.
They're going to fight for reduced charges to the point of basically just probation and mental counseling and things of that nature.
And according to what Six is sending me here, Winokur, is that like the DA, I'm assuming? has previously sympathized with what he broadly categorized as Miller's mental health issues. Exactly. Like, I guarantee you Miller's lawyers are in talks with all, like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, this is never, I guarantee he never goes back to court on January. Sorry, I'm starting to stutter. But yeah.
If they sympathize with his mental issues, they're not sending him to prison to be butt raped for the next 26 years.
And if I'm reading what Six sent me here, he might get out of it too, because he's actually the house owner. So was he renting it to this individual? Is that what it is? Oh no, Winker. No, sorry. That guy's the house owner. That's what I was saying. I'm surprised.
Winker's the house owner?
Yeah. That's what you meant. I'm sorry. Okay, so yeah. So through that, they may lesser the charges, and or that person may end up just. Did they try maybe dropping the charges? And since it was a breaking and entering, the cops didn't have a choice but to charge him. Is that kind of one of those things? Maybe.
Maybe he filed a complaint, and then when he found out it was Ezra, he's like, "Oh."
Well, I'm just saying, like, it might have been one of those things where he tried to drop the charges, but the cops were like, "You can't in this case because X." Like, I know there's certain situations where there is that kind of a thing, but that could be too. Because yeah, of all the things that he's done, this is, to me, is like the least of them. This is like the most movie star thing he did. Right, like this is straight out of the John Belushi and Chris Farley playbook almost.
Therefore, it would be the irony that this is what they caught him on, considering all the other grooming and stuff like that. This is where they nail him.
Yeah, that's the Al Capone thing. Like, you know, this is like the closest thing he's done to an actual movie star. Like, this is right, like, or not Chris Farley, but better yet, Robert Downey Jr. playbook, let's say. Because, you know, this whole like walking into a family's home or whatever and just making yourself at home. In one way or another, and he clearly
shares at women and assaulting them and stuff like that.
But that's not what this is about, right? Like, this is
exactly.
just about, yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is the most movie star, like, you know, problematic movie star thing he's done to this point that I can consider like the least of the problems. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't think he'll see any time on this. I think his lawyer knows the long game. I think he knows he can get him out of this. So why else would you plead not guilty? Because don't they have video evidence? Isn't that the whole reason he got charged in the first place?
I don't think that the question of guilt is really in doubt here. So it's obviously just setting the stage for a plea deal.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Exactly. Thank you. Because I could have swore from the original thing that, like, that's the whole thing, is they had video of him breaking in or whatever. So, yeah. There you go.
So yeah, that's the
more to
latest
say than that, to be honest with you.
From Ezra, and we'll keep you up to date as we learn more.
I think that's the least of his problems right now.
Actually, I think it's one of his biggest, because that's where the courts are involved. All the other worse stuff is gotten away with scot-free. This is the one that has like legal repercussions.
Which is funny. You're right about that. Like, it's kind of hilarious.
So this actually is his biggest headache.
And maybe that's what it is. Maybe because they have the video evidence from, because I think it was a doorbell camera or something like that. I think
this was done on U.S. soil. That's also a difference.
That's another point too. Like, a lot of the things that he's been in trouble for have not been in this country. And some people not even consider Hawaii America, but, you know, that was supposed to be a joke, and it didn't.
Let's put it this then. Most of the stuff this is something that happened in the continental United States, which is something Hawaii is not.
No, but I was just trying to make a joke there. That didn't work. Canada is more American than Hawaii is. Let's be real.
You just made all the Hawaiians watching cry, but
I'm sure.
Well, we did invent the Hawaiian pizza.
You probably did. I wouldn't be surprised.
No, we did.
Because of the ham thing, yeah.
Ham and pineapple,
Yeah. That's why I said I wouldn't be surprised. But thank you.